Well, good morning and welcome back to the Broadcast Retirement Network. I'm Jeff Snyder, and this is BRN AM for Tuesday, January 5th, 2021. And our top stories today, consolidating gears of technological advances and paying workers the same across the United States. Well, joining me now to discuss this and more is Daniel Klein. He's lead advisor and executive producer for 7 Investing. Dan, Happy New Year. Great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Jeff, happy 2021. Everything is different. We'll be meeting in person later, hugging. No, we won't be doing that, but we can see some light at the end of the tunnel. I welcome 2021 and look forward to all the many travel opportunities that at some point will be available to me.
Yeah, well, I think we're all looking forward to turn the page. Dan, 2020 was a real leap when it came to productivity, working from home, artificial intelligence. Look at the amazing things we've done with healthcare. What does 2021 look like, though? Is it a further leap forward?
Yeah, 2021 could be a further leap forward. We've seen sort of the ability to automate, but not necessarily the willingness to automate. So I'll give you a prime example. We've all been ordering grocery delivery, and grocery delivery is largely a person takes your order and goes into the store and goes, okay, Jeff wants some Lay's potato chips. He wants some Heinz ketchup. This is a really weird order. He wants some ice cream sandwiches, and he needs some Woolite, whatever it is, they put your order together. That can all be done via automated technology where 98% of the work is done by the robot and then a human does 10%. Well, what does that do? That eliminates about 300,000 jobs. So here's the problem. Technology and automation is great. And in theory, it doesn't eliminate jobs so much as it shifts them into other areas. Somebody needs to maintain the robot. Somebody needs to deal with customer service when the order isn't correct. There probably needs to be a small team of runners that when the robots don't get your order quite right are, getting the item either before the fact of a pickup or after the fact and getting it out to your house. There's going to be all these new customer service and technology jobs. But if you're only trained to go pick groceries, that's going to be a problem. And we've seen that in every technology revolution. Every time technology changes, we end up having sort of people left behind. So if you work in the retail space, if you work in a factory, you really want to look at, will my job be automated and what jobs are going to be available? And companies should be doing this, but they often don't. You're going to need to take the lead and being trained for whatever's available and whatever comes next in your field.
Yeah, and Dan, we have been talking about this for several years now, that robots would take things over, that artificial intelligence is here to stay. But Dan, are we really at a place where artificial intelligence is completely sentient, meaning it can self-learn, it is aware of that it's alive or it's operating? Are we at a point where this really displaces people? And are we also at a place where the data that we're producing, that we can analyze it all and put it to good use? Because we've talked about it a lot. There's a lot of data out there. Amazon, all these platforms have data, but can they really use it?
So AI is making us more efficient, and Amazon is a perfect example of that. When they open an Amazon warehouse, they can use their data to not only say, hey, Jeff is going to order a toothbrush next month. They can say Jeff or someone like Jeff is going to order a toothbrush Wednesday at 3 p.m. So have it packaged Wednesday at 2 p.m. ready to go. That eliminates jobs. That makes the process more efficient. It doesn't take people out of it. This isn't a robot from the future who can, do human things. These are robots that process data really, really well and can figure out to a very high degree what's going to happen next. And I don't mean what's going to happen next as in predicting the future. Is if you have this overriding data that says, X amount of people order this product within this time frame, that's really useful data when it comes to stocking your shelves, packing your boxes, and faster delivery. It used to be that a week delivery was fine. Then it became Amazon's standard 2-day shipping. Now, when I go to Amazon and it's not next day, my thought is what's the problem here? Why can't you get me this next day? And pretty soon, the standard might be today. It might be I need this within 2 hours, even if you don't. It's not that often that you're you've got a big spill and you've run out of paper towels and need them right away. But we're increasing there, and AI and technology is going to help us with that. You're going to see things like robots stocking shelves. Right now in Walmart, there are robots that wander around and they tell you what needs to be stocked. They don't actually do the stocking. You're going to see a lot of that stuff. You're already seeing cleaning being automated. We're going to see an increase in cleaning because of the pandemic, sort of a new attention on that. Most of that is not going to be done by a person with a spray bottle and a mop. It's going to be automated. Think your home robot vacuum, but to a corporate degree and 10 times the size, and with a lot more learning and ability to do stuff. So we're moving to a world where this is sort of the next leap of technology. And as I've said, people are going to get left behind. We've already seen, the automation of, say, the grocery clerk, where there are more self-checkouts. But a lot of those grocery stores have said, hey, we didn't cut people. They took the people and they put them into customer-facing roles. Starbucks has automated a lot of its inventory and taken that labor and put it into customer service, that's talking to you, and drink production, meaning making your beverages faster, getting your food out faster. So are you going to see some uses where this eliminates people? Absolutely. You're going to see some, restaurants that fully automate. I mean, you already see there's a couple of airports that have coffee like kiosks, like huts, where you order on an app and it's all made by a robot. I'm not sure how well that works. We've talked about my robot drink before, which ended up overflowing the glass and being served to me as a giant mess. But that technology is going to get worked out. You can already make, say, a Big Mac in an automated way. And frankly, you probably prefer to make a Big Mac in an automated way. It's going to get your hold the pickles correct, or, I want it toasted a little more, or whatever it is. There's really no need for humans in some of these things. So ideally, as people, get trained, learn how to do things that robots aren't easily going to do. Even some areas, Jeff, we're not that far off, probably longer than people think, from automated driving and robo-taxis. And, I think we're more likely to see that in closed loop areas, like, say, a Disney World or a college campus, or if a New York City were to cut off cars in certain areas. But we're moving to a world where the labor humans do is either going to be talking to other humans or something of a higher tech. And that's always been difficult for society to deal with.
Yeah, very interesting, Dan. I think we'll have to see what 2021 has to offer, but certainly things are headed in the very productive direction. Dan, I want to take a quick break with you. When we come back, we'll talk to Dan about tech companies that are paying their employees the same rate, the same amount, regardless of where they live. You're going to want to stay tuned right here on BRN AM. Imagine a new television network that will make you richer, healthier, and in control of your financial future. This network is for the policewoman in Nashville, Tennessee, the baker in Dubuque, Iowa, the teacher in Lexington, Kentucky. We want to make the idea of savings and retirement culturally relevant. But what do you see as a defining issue of the midterms, especially for the smaller businesses? I mean, they are the lifeblood of the American economy. Featuring exclusive interviews, current affairs, and docuseries. 33 years old, you retired early.
The philosophy is money only matters if it helps you live a life that you love.
But you got to start thinking about retirement as soon as you get in.
The Broadcast Retirement Network will drive very high engagement with premium partnerships. So this isn't retirement and savings for your parents or grandparents. This is for all Americans. And we're going to change the way you think about money. Welcome to the next frontier of retirement and savings. This is BRN, the Broadcast Retirement Network.
Hi folks, Joe Namath here, and if you're on Medicare, this is important. You're now entitled to eliminate copays and get dental care, dentures, eyeglasses, prescription coverage, in-home aids, unlimited transportation, and home-delivered meals, all at no additional cost. Plus, your zip code may have coverage with the Give Back benefit that adds money back to your Social Security check every month. Look, with the uncertainty of the virus and vaccines, you need to get everything you're entitled to. Here's the bottom line. Call to get significant benefits at no additional cost and see if your zip code has coverage with the Give Back benefit. Millions of people have trusted the Medicare Coverage Helpline. You can too. Call now. It's free.
Call 1-800-924-3920. That's 1-800-924-3920.
Welcome back. We're talking to Daniel Klein of 7 Investing. Dan, Happy New Year, and thanks so much for staying with us this morning.
Thanks for keeping me. For a few more months, there's not much else to do.
Yeah, well, that's true. Dan, let's talk about a continuing story that we have followed on this program, and it's followed elsewhere, that people have relocated, and some companies are reevaluating what they're paying workers depending on what locality they live in. And that really can crush morale, Dan. But I want to get your sense for some tech companies that have said, nope, we're going to pay people the same regardless of where they live.
So companies have taken all different attitudes toward this, and so have workers. About 60% of workers are okay with taking a pay cut if they're given real flexibility with where they work. So, and as someone who left New York City, if you were working a traditional job, and let's say you're making $200,000 a year, that sounds like a lot. In New York, that's not that much. So if your boss says, "Hey Jeff, if you take a 10% pay cut, I don't care if you move to wherever you want. You can move to rural Montana. You could live as cheaply as you want. You could move to one of those countries, in the Bahamas that's welcoming in Americans for 1 year." And you go, wait a minute, like my cost of living will go down 60% and I'm only taking a 10% pay cut. I think that's when workers are okay with it. The problem is, and it's a growing problem, is that companies are trying to put in sort of like one size fits all solutions, meaning, they're going to go to every worker and say, okay, if you don't want to work at HQ, it's a 10% pay cut. And the reality is, we've talked about this. There are companies who've said, you know what, it's a competitive advantage to say, like, we don't care where you work. Like, we will hire you in any state. Or other companies, that's hard to do if you're not a very large company because operating in each state is a little bit tricky. But a lot of companies are saying, hey, we do operations in these X amount of states. If you want to live in one of those, that's good. Like, we pay unemployment. We do all the things we do in those states. So it's not always easy. But those companies might attract workers they otherwise would not get. It's part of why, you saw like an exodus of companies moving to Austin, Texas. Well, in Austin, Texas, you can hire programmers. They don't cost nearly as much as they do in San Francisco or Boston. You're going to see a lot more flexibility, but I'm not really in favor of any of this. I actually think the salary for the job should be the salary for a job. And if you have to live someplace expensive, maybe there's a housing stipend. Maybe you're getting paid X amount. It's much like, Microsoft gives you a commuting benefit, and that benefit can vary based on, if you live right next to the office, your commuting benefit might be you get access to the bike rack. If you live an hour away, maybe they're paying, for you to, to park your car or add some gas or whatever it is. It can vary. I'm not familiar with what Microsoft's current policies are on commuting, but it can vary by company. I think that's something we should really look at here. What's fair, and is there an advantage to having some of your workers in certain places? And if you decide, like, you know what, yeah, I'm okay with people being remote, but I really want to entice some of the company to be near the office, even just for social reasons, you need to figure out how to do that in a way that makes everybody feel valued. This is going to be an ongoing story. It's also going to be really tricky, as you know, out of sight, out of mind. Not easy to be a remote worker.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that if you undergo something like this, you need to undertake. You're a national firm or a global firm. You need to understand through a compensation study what this means. What are your competitors doing from a enterprise level, so you can compare. People when they're shopping for what employer to work for, they know. But I think you also have to very much consider the morale that you could absolutely kill if you don't do it right. And just overreacting and what appears to be a knee-jerk reaction to say, we're just going to, if you're living in a different tax area, you're doing the same job, we're going to pay you different. I think that is fraught with issues. But I do like what you're saying, and I do like this approach. Look, a job is a job. You have to do a certain amount of productivity. That is worth X. And so if you have certain voluntary or ancillary benefits that come with depending on what region of the country you're in. I like that formula a lot better than just downgrading people because they decided to move.
Yeah, and Jeff, this is also one of those things where you should involve your employees. And I know that's difficult at a very large company, but I work at a company where there's, 8 of us full time and maybe 10 of us total with some of the people that do some things on the side. And, the 7 of us who are the quote lead advisors who make stock picks, when we have an issue like this, we sit down and talk about it. Like, okay, everybody needs to upgrade their camera. Well, who's going to pay for that? Is the company going to send us a new camera? Are we going to pay for the camera? So if you go to your workers and say, here's the deal, what does everyone prize more? Are you willing to give up some salary in order to be able to live wherever you want? Are you more interested in making the most money possible, but we're going to dictate some of these things? I think that conversation can happen. And when you're part of the discussion, when you say, okay, if I move a distance away where I can't come into the office twice a month, I'm going to forfeit 10% of my pay, but wow, I want to do that because I've always wanted to move back home, or mom and dad are sick. I want to move and care for them, or whatever. I just want to live near the beach. I think if you actively make that decision as an employee, that's much different. I also think that right now in the pandemic, we should not be enforcing any of these things until we see what's permanent. I do think there are some people who, left New York or San Francisco for Florida or Arizona or Texas or whatever it is, that at the end of this might go, oh, I miss the big city. Like, I'm going to go back to San Francisco. It's a little cheaper now, a little bit better to be there. And then I think there's going to be some people that say, wow, like, why did I ever commute to an office? That was awful. This is all going to shake out, and it really needs to be an open dialogue between worker and company. And look, a big company can have a council of workers that represents each group, each department, each level, and sort of talks, very much like a well-run football team where the coach will meet with like a group of players and talk about all of this. Has to be addressed. None of this should be decided sort of unilaterally by management, which tends to be how companies do things.
Yeah, well, they want to. A lot of companies do things top down, and again, I just think that that's probably not great for the culture. Well, Dan, we're going to leave it there. Great to see you. Great Tech Tuesday as always. Wishing you a very happy New Year to you and your family, and we look forward to chatting with you again very soon.
Well, we'll see you a couple times before Valentine's Day. I think that's the next one.
And that wraps up this episode of BRN AM. Have a topic of interest or someone you think we should talk to? Then drop us a line. And don't forget, for all the news in retirement, markets, technology, personal finance, so much more, all in one place, check out today's edition of our newsletter, The Morning Pulse. So until tomorrow, I'm Jeff Snyder. Stay safe, keep on saving, and don't forget, roll with the changes.
Are you being audited and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will work with you using our years of experience to represent your case to help you get the best resolution under the IRS guidelines. Help is here to deal with the IRS to reduce your stress. We've handled thousands of cases, so we know what we're doing. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, do not call the IRS alone. Call a Tax Doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Call 800-224-6439.